Hello and welcome to this round 14 here at Grand Prix Utrecht in the Netherlands. We're getting perilously close to the top 8 now. I've already seen a little bit of a handshake on table 1, but we are a little bit further down. These players, Zové Luis Anal Avignon and Alexander Habert, on 11-1-1 for Joseph, and then Alexandra 12-1. They're still having to play it out, but a win here would put them pretty much in a fairly safe spot. Toolcraft Exemplar on turn 1 for Habert. On the other side of things, let's see what the Mardu Vehicles deck versus Mardu Ballista is able to achieve. Scrap Heap Scrounger there coming from Avignon.
Yeah, I think Alexander Habert with 12 wins and 1 loss, he's probably in the top 8 anyway if he can find someone to draw with on the next round if he loses. But if he wins, he's going to lock in the first seed for the top 8, meaning he would be on the play for every single round of the top 8 that he is in. So that's a significant advantage. And Luis Arnal Avignon cannot, he has to win at least one more match, then he can try drawing the next round. So this is pretty much it isn't even do or die just yet for either player. They need to win this round and the next one, so we might see both in the top 8.
Well, let's see what comes up next on the left-hand side of our screen. You can see a fatal push in hand for Avignon. Just gets stuck in for now with the Scrounger. Unlicensed Disintegration in hand also. But Ethersphere Harvester, not one that we've seen from every vehicles list. Great in the race though.
Oh yeah.
Crew it up, it can gain lifelink, the 3-5.
Yeah, we've seen very few Harvesters this weekend overall.
Yeah, a couple at the very, very start of the tournament, before even all of the buys were exhausted, but since then it's been fairly quiet.
Yeah, it's actually going to be pretty good in this matchup. The fact that it can just fly over and gain some life back could be very crucial. And the numbers as a 3-5 just match up really well. And we saw that the Alexander Habert runs quite a few Planeswalkers, so having another flying thread just makes it better to put them under pressure.
17 life apiece at this point. At least on the board, it looks to be that Avignon a little bit up. 4-point swing here coming across with Toolcraft Exemplar, gaining the benefit of that clue that's already in play. Let's see what the follow-up is. It looks like we have Thalia Heretic Cathar. That will mean that all the non-basic lands and creatures for Avignon coming into play tapped.
Yeah. Look at that. Joseph missed his Aethersphere Harvester trigger. He didn't announce anything when he played it.
To gain the energy.
Yeah, he might have said something. Of course, we can't know that. And now he's trying to claim it. Oof. Yeah, and Alexander Habert is trying to say, like, you played it and you passed the turn. You did miss the trigger. And that hand was the hand of a judge, so...
Yeah, double checking the wording on that. We'll get an energy token there just to keep track.
Proper one. No, let's see. Well, we'll have a judge there that judge can decide what to do here. But I think it was pretty obviously missed from our perspective. He didn't make any motion to get the energy when he played right away. Yeah, and the judge ruled that you missed the trigger. Unfortunate.
Yeah, the game had progressed sufficiently far that it was fairly clear that we just sort of got past that point, and so Avignon, paying the price here.
I mean, the pressure is on, right? You're playing for top 8.
Unlicensed Disintegration in hand here, and it looks like that's going to be the play.
And kills the Thalia, takes 3. Joseph still has quite a bit of aggression still there, because he has still Fatal Push up and has another Unlicensed Disintegration as well, so he can definitely put on the pressure here in increments of 3.
Yeah, Alexandre Habert there taking the hit. I think if there had been energy available for Avignon, he may have been more tempted to get in with the Ethersphere Harvester, but without the ability to give it lifelink, not quite as important to think about flying over.
Yeah, now maybe Joseph trying the same thing with the clue, but that was certainly not missed. Okay, here's some energy.
You can see there, Habert has his Lucky Charm, the husky that comes with him to every game.
Yeah, and it's been serving him well so far. I mean, only one loss throughout the whole tournament. He's doing really well. He's one of the 3 players that are at 12 wins and 1 loss. The other 2 have already drawn on table 1, and one of them is actually Alexander Habert's friend, Samuel Villot, who I was told that they tested together with Elliot Bousseau, and they're all playing the same list in Romardo Ballista. Something that apparently Elliot Bousseau was playing a lot. And served already 1 Frenchman into the top 8. Maybe we'll see 2.
At what point do you start calling it dominance?
Well, we'll see. I mean, it's a great innovation, and I quite like the deck. So, all right, there's a fatal push from Josep. Takes care of the exemplar and just takes 1. Let's see what the follow-up is from Haber, because I think I saw a Heart of Kirin. I think I saw another Thraben Inspector. He also has an unlicensed disintegration of his own.
I mean, the concern that he has at the moment is that he doesn't have much of a clock.
Yeah, exactly. I assume he's just going to play a Thraben Inspector and leave up unlicensed disintegration mana. It's a little bit slow, but he can also pop a clue if he decides. Well, I think Joseph is still going to be enticed to attack with just the Scrounger into the Thraben Inspector. He's not going to crew the Ethersphere Harvester. The missed energy trigger really becoming relevant here.
All right, so that another Scrap Heap Scrounger, the pickup there for Avignon. If he plays that one out, then he could potentially be attacking with 2 creatures this turn. There is also a Heart of Kirin, so that could be all of the mana neatly spent. Crews up the vehicle and swings in for 6.
Yeah, but now there's an opportunity for Haber to use that unlicensed disintegration to get rid of the Harvester. Avignon takes 3 himself, while dealing 3 in the process. And Alexander Haber will get to untap, maybe into a big Walking Ballista, maybe has something else going on. Oh, look at that, a Heart of Kirin.
Heart of Kirin and nothing to crew it right this moment, so shields down for Avignon. He's on 8.
Yeah, I think Haber drew another unlicensed disintegration. Just put him in a tough spot as into what he wants to do in the following turns. At this point, I'm starting to wonder if maybe Alexander should stay back and try to double block his Scrounger and hopefully get to kill the Heart of Kirin with the other unlicensed disintegration he has in his hand.
Needle Spire is also an option this turn if there's an additional land for Haber.
Yeah, he's doing the math.
And he needs to consider what happens if there's a creature to crew Heart of Kirin and unlicensed disintegration on the other side. Is it possible that he could be dead next turn?
Yeah, maybe. It looks like Haber is going to go for the Heart of Kirin and a 1/1 Walking Ballista here. But it's still deciding.
Complicated.
Okay. Or a 2/2 Walking Ballista. That's another way to go about things. He may just try to race here. You know, he could play the Ballista here. Okay, now he goes for Heart of Kirin and a Walking Ballista for 1. And
Passes things back, so he has enough creatures to be able to crew that Heart of Kirin, but it's going to take his entire team.
yeah. And it also exposes it to remove from Avignon. For example, if Avignon has an unlicensed disintegration of his own, this game's...
Well, he has a Fatal Push and unlicensed disintegration, I believe.
Jeez. I think he has a Fatal Push for sure. I haven't seen the other card. I believe you.
Fatal Push was the draw.
Okay, sure. And now look at that, Josep. Deep in tank. He doesn't want to mess up now.
Yeah, they're both kind of mirroring each other's body language a little bit. Both with their hands on their head, thinking through what they want to be doing here. And crewing Heart of Kirin. Attacks with both of those creatures.
I like this. Now Bear has to be careful here.
7 points of damage being threatened.
Yeah, double walk on the Scavenger is something I quite like. Yeah.
Yeah. And now we're going to see exactly how much of all of that removal Avino is going to play.
His hands are itching. You can already see he's like lining up the black mana to use Fatal Push to kill one of the Trade Wind Inspectors. Take 4 then.
Haber dropping it to 6. No need to be too preemptory on the old unlicensed disintegration. It wasn't going to be lethal there, so you may as well save it just for now.
Indeed. Yeah, checking the life totals, just making sure that it's correct. Haber should be down to 6.
And there is
4.
Thraven Inspector again.
Okay, so life totals completely changing from what it was before. There was probably some miscommunication. That changes things.
Now, there's not going to be a whole lot of blocking being done by Avino based on what he's got going on. So in that regard, Haber has straightforward decisions, but because there's so much aggression there, the Frenchman can't really afford to go on the offensive here.
Alexander Haber also tapped a little strangely here. He could have used the Needle Spires to cast the Trade Wind Inspector to leave up a Black Source without having to use his energy. Same attack for Avino though.
Haber looks at the single card in his hand.
This is tough. Kills the Heart of Kirin with the unlicensed disintegration, so at least that takes care of this big threat from the board. There's still work to be done though. No cards. Yeah. 7-4. All right, big draw.
If this is a creature to crew Hearts of Kirin here, it could be pretty massive.
Scrounger. Is that helpful? Yeah, I mean, I think if Josep doesn't have anything, even though you did say there's something going on in his hand. But Alexander Haber has to try to figure out how he's going to win this game without dying, of course. And drawing Scrap Heap Scrounger is the first step. It's a creature that can crew the Heart of Kirin on offense or defense.
Well, here comes Scrap Heap Scrounger. Plenty of them that we've seen in this particular matchup. Passes things back.
Okay. He's just swinging. He's not hesitating.
Well, they can't block, so...
Yep, of course. Okay, Fatal Push. Okay, he's still not dead. Yet. Yeah.
Do you want to take 6?
No, I think he's going to block there. Yeah, and there's an unlicensed disintegration as well. It looks like Josep had everything here this game. A good combination of Scroungers, Heart of Kirin, and just a lot of removal. Haber draws a card, but yeah, we're going to go to game 2 right here.
All right, so the first game going to Josep Luis Anal Avino. Alexander Haber not quite able to piece it together in the face of all of those removal spells on the other side of the board. Whoever draws the most copies of Unlicensed Disintegration, certainly in fairly good shape, but we know that Haber has the opportunity to sideboard into a fairly sort of Planeswalker-heavy deck. We're now going to get a chance to see Fabrizio Campanino on the left of our screen. He's on a very similar list, the Mardu Ballista list. Up against Brent Voss's black-green Constrictor. Already a Winding Constrictor in play alongside both Walking Ballista and a Longtusk Cub there.
Both players' boards are fairly massive already, but Fabrizio just has a lot of things going on alongside the Clue token. Funnily enough, both players are chasing another GP top 8. Fabrizio has one from Prague recently, and Brent Voss is actually the teammate of Frank Karsten at the Team GP in Rotterdam in November. So they would definitely like to add another one to his resume. And his hand seems decent enough. There's I saw a Fatal Push, there's a Cultivator's Caravan and Rishkar. Just good cards, but he's probably trying to hold on as much as possible against what Fabrizio Campanino is putting on here. Even though having a 4-4, a 2-3 blocker as well as a walking ballista really helps.
Yeah, difficult for Campanino to pile on too much pressure there because the creatures on the other side pretty substantial, and even with Pierre Nallar being able to make individual creatures unable to block, there's just enough creatures there for Brent that he might be able to stabilize even though he's well down on life.
Yeah, there was a move towards combat. Now, there we see Unlicensed Disintegration on the Long Tusk Cup.
Toolcraft Exemplar is being shot down by Walking Ballista. But in total, I feel like this trade really does still favor Campanino. That Unlicensed Disintegration does drop Brent Voss down a little bit, and now Pierre Nallar makes it so that Winding Constrictor can't block. Big swings here coming in from Campanino.
Yeah, now Brent Voss, I think, has to chump block. Yeah, he has to chump block the Scrounger. Deals 1 to Fabrizio Campanino, who still gets to deal 4 damage here. And Campanino also has the Shambling Vent for the following turns. And still a card in his hand.
It's going to have to be a great draw. Rishkar Pima Renegade does get to mean that both Winding Constrictor and Rishkar are pretty large, but I think Pierre Nallar could prove a big problem here.
And there's still Fatal Push in Brent Voss' hand. All Fabrizio needs to do is just animate his Shambling Vent and swing with the team. And should be he should know that this is enough.
Yeah, 1 black mana up for Brent Voss could signal a Fatal Push from the other side.
Yeah.
But look at the number of creatures. They map very well for Fabrizio Campanino here.
Even just the 2 Thraben Inspectors will be the last 2 points of damage here. And so Fabrizio Campanino will take a 1 here with his Mardu Ballista deck. I was like, yeah, okay, you got it.
Yeah, the little kind of sidey shake of the head thing that says, yeah, all right, fine.
You got me.
So Campanino picking up his first game. Josep Luis Anel Avino picking up his first game against Alexandre Habert. They are both shuffling up. We're going to get to see the 2 different flavors of Mardu. Mardu Ballista versus Mardu Vehicles. I'm going to be interested to see exactly how much Habert pivots after game 1, whether or not he's going to be the kind of almost Planeswalker control deck that we've seen in previous matches from him, or if he's going to try and stay more low to the ground after sideboarding.
Definitely. I mean, there's a lot of options to go, and these we've seen these Mardu matches be very volatile, where just the drawing of 1 Unlicensed Disintegration can completely swing the game around. I think Alexandre Habert is going to try to play it slow, just like he has before. I'm not sure if he wants to bring in Nahiris as well, but he definitely has some Oath of Chandras that he can bring in. So we'll see how that fares for him. It's going to be much better on the play. I wonder if for game 3 he's not going to change it up a little bit more. But I think he's pretty confident, as you can see. Like he probably thinks he can draw into the top 8 next turn as well. We're at 12 wins already, and this tournament being of a smaller size, it could turn out well.
Right. So these players just drawing their opening hands. We'll get a chance to see exactly how they're kicking things off. Each of these players, of course, hoping to start on a full 7. There's at least 1 copy of Unlicensed Disintegration for Habert, so that's
2.
Already an exciting start.
Yeah, but he needs creatures alongside those and the mana to work as well. I think I saw Gideon as well. This looks like a tough opener. I think he has a Spire of Industry. Question is, does he have some artifacts to enable that? Giuseppe seems to have a couple of basics. I see a Heart of Kirin. No black mana just yet. Yeah,
still, lands and spells is definitely a good start. Alexandre Habert, in spite of having his Lucky Hound with him, is having to take a mulligan here. Round 14 seems to be a tough one thus far for the Frenchman.
It's like power shuffling in halfway through. Is like, no, never mind.
Well, yeah. He's like, you know what, let's just do it the old-fashioned way.
Yeah.
Mulligans, pretty rough for aggro decks a lot of the time, because ideally you are looking to get that early start, and you can run out of cards very quickly if your plan is to play something on turn 1, play something on turn 2, curve out.
Yeah, but this really doesn't become that much of an aggro matchup. It's usually one it's not a race. It's usually more of like one player trying to out attrition the other. But we'll see if Haber, with his more controlling setup after sideboard, if he can find a way here, because not only is mulliganing, but he's also on the play, which can really hurt because he wants to have some card. Look at that, triple release the Gremlins, double Gideon, and a Walking Ballista. He's going to go down to 5 here.
So Alexander there just going to shuffle up. He is mulliganing down. This is not where he wants to be in the slightest. He's on the play, which in some respects means he's going to have even fewer cards to work with. Tough times for the Frenchman. 11-1-1, already a great record. Once you get to 12-1-1 with 1 round to go, though, that's the sort of position where you're looking to just pick up a draw in the last round, have the handshake, and make top 8.
Yeah, sweet. I mean, both players, as we said before, they're both in with a shout. Both Alexander Haber just needing a draw that he can probably get next round, and just needing 1 win either this round or the next. What is the 5 looking like?
1 mountain, release the Gremlins, Nahiri, a fatal push, and sorry, it's a Chandra and an Oath of Chandra.
Yeah, I think he's going to keep that one just because he has a mountain and an Oath of Chandra. So he just needs the 1 land to kill Joseph's first threat, and he's just hoping to draw just more lands. Basically only 1 lands.
Concealed Courtyard there from Avignon, and he does have a clue alongside that Thraben Inspector.
That was a good draw. No second land from Haber, though. This can be over really quickly because we know Avignon's mana is really good.
All right, let's see how punishing a draw Mardu Vehicles on the left-hand side of our screen has in order to show Mardu Vehicles on the right of the screen how to do it.
Just trying to make sure that the life tools are going to be written down correctly. All right. Does he have his Crownger? I think I saw Selfless Spirit too.
Haber is just saying, maybe you don't have a land too. Maybe it's fine.
Yeah, but no.
It's not fine. It's definitely not fine.
Yeah, they're just trying to figure out if a player has not, if Joseph has drawn for his turn or not. Yeah, I think that's the thing. It's looking like, yeah. No, I think it works out fine, yeah.
I believe so.
Alexander Haber was just checking because he seemed like there was a little bit too much going on. And there's a Stravic Scrounger. I mean, I think Josep has the perfect hand to punish a land light draw from Haber here. Haber is still in with shout if he gets a land here. Let's go. I think it's just... no, just it's nothing relevant here. It's not a land. Oh, I think he drew up next to this. Ugh.
And why not?
Yeah.
Unlicensed Disintegration, the pickup there for Avignon. At this rate, he's unlikely to have any targets for it.
Yeah.
There is more land in hand. While there's a full art mountain for Haber, on the other side of things, that an APAC mountain. Oof. And Thalia Heretic Cathar promo 1. That means that any non-basics are going to come into play tapped for Haber. So even if he finds a land, which he did not, by the way, then not able to get much going with it. 2 copies of Oath of Chandra in hand. Still not a second land, though. And the beats just keep on coming in here. Yes, Alexander Haber taking 7 points of damage on that attack. Facing lethal next turn. Spire of Industry, Heart of Kiran, foil Heart of Kiran at that. And
he's just rubbing it in at this
Selfless
point.
Spirits coming along, so removal not going to be too exciting.
No, it is a basic swamp. So Alexander Haber could play the Oath of Chandra here.
An unglued basic swamp, no plays from Alexander Haber though. He knows that this is a bridge too far for him at this point. Crewing up the Heart of Kiran. Big attacks in. That Heart of Kiran shouldn't be tapped. Fatal push coming from Alexander Haber. Sacrifice the Selfless Spirit. And there's the handshake. Josep Luis Anel Avignon. A little fist bump in the air. Big smiles from him. He is now 12-1-1. And I think there's a good chance that he will be in the top 8. Of course, we may very well see Alexander Haber, if he is able to right the ship in the next round, making top 8 also. But big games there. Game 1 a little bit more interactive than the second. Unfortunate draws there for the Frenchman. But that does mean we get to see more of Fabrizio Campanino against Brent Voss. And it looks like there's already been carnage here. Fatal push and an unlicensed disintegration dealing with the first 2 Long Tusk Cubs.
Oh, yeah. And not much going on within Brent Voss' hand. I see 2 lands and an Attune Meter. I think there's natural obsolescence as well.
Greenbelt Rampager in play for him. A relatively sizable threat, but Gideon can easily make a team that can go around the elephant.
That's the thing. I think Brent is just gonna play Attune to develop his lands further. Even though he doesn't need it, I think Greenbelt Rampager can just start swinging at the Gideon for now. But
I mean, at some point there's going to be those hissing quagmires that do want additional lands just so that they can get animated.
That is true.
And what extraction do we have here from Brent Voss?
This is bold. If I was Fabrizio, I would snap off the block on the hissing quagmire. I think Fabrizio also has Ob Nixilis in his hand. I don't think he has double black though. It might be a problem.
Yeah, Gideon's still around.
He has a Fumigate too. I think he drew a black source.
He did. That was a basic swamp.
So I think, is it a Fumigate or is it an Ob Nixilis? I think it's an Ob Nixilis. And that's just a huge problem for Brent Voss, because now also, even though there's not a hissing quagmire, there's also a Night Ally. So Brent Voss would need to destroy the Night Ally and attack with the hissing quagmire, and all the while he's only dealing with one of these planeswalkers.
Another copy of Doom with Ether. That's the 3rd one from Brent Voss this game. He's got plenty of energy. I'll give him that.
Yep.
And he's hitting his land drops, which is not the worst. However, while he's busy doing that, Fabrizio Campanino is playing multiple Planeswalkers, and Planeswalkers, if left unchecked for long, do end games. Just a pass there from Brent Voss.
Yeah, it doesn't expose this hissing quagmire now, but this game is going to slip away from him real fast, with Ob Nixilis providing a lot of card advantage. I think he also has the Fumigate, and now drew a Heart of Kiran, another card that can protect his planeswalkers. Yeah, he's not going to even start attacking with that Gideon there, which I'm not surprised about. He might have even drawn an Avacyn, if I'm not mistaken. He just it seems like he has it all. Yeah, those life totals are not again not updated correctly.
Yeah, we'll get that fixed for you in just a second.
And there's a hissing quagmire attacking the Gideon. There's an Avacyn.
Conveniently indestructible in the face of a death touch creature.
Yep. And there we go. And Brent Voss just with more and more land stuck in his hand. His natural obsolescence, not doing anything against planeswalkers, angels, or some knights.
Another Fumigate the pick up there from Campanino, but right now he's the one that's very much in command of this game.
Yeah, this is just a route now.
Yeah, Gideon ticks up, a whole bunch of creatures swing in. That's 5.
11.
A crazy amount of damage coming through.
Yeah.
It starts to add it up, and I'm just like, well, he's nearly dead, isn't he?
Yeah, he's down to 2.
Down to 2. There's a Heart of Kiran. Plenty of Planeswalkers to crew that one. Plenty of lands in play to threaten whatever it is that Brent Voss has going on. And I struggle to think of the draw that's going to deal with all of these different threatening permanents. Can you kill Planeswalkers? Maybe. Can you kill creatures? Maybe. Can you kill vehicles? Maybe. Can you do all 3? Well, the handshake says no. That's enough for Fabrizio Campanino to lock that one up. Big win for him, advancing to 12-2. One more round left in the tournament, and that means that he has every reason to hope that he might have been able to lock up top 8 with that. And we get a chance to have one more match jumping across into our feature match area so that we can get a little bit more on camera. That one being between Gregor Kowalski and Armando Sapiras. This is currently 1-0 to Sapiras. Both these players on 11-2, and you know what? We've got more vehicles in the feature match area.
Jeez.
This time, none of them of the ballista variety. As much as throughout the tournament we've had a big old variety of different decks going on, hard to shake these vehicles decks just consistently putting up numbers.
Yeah, they're just so punishing of bad draws. The good early game starts are just hard to deal with, and yeah, the decks are pretty consistent. Their mana can be a little bit shaky at times, but overall, these decks are just really, really solid. All right, so let's see what particular flavor Armando has brought to the table, even though I expect both players to have fairly standard decks, but I'm surprised they're only going to game 2. It's probably took a long while to get this unstuck, so we'll see. And Kowalski, he finished at 8-1 yesterday, and he had the best tiebreakers in the room by far, because even the round, he lost the last round to Andrei Strasky, who was then 9-0, and he also he was the only defeat of Joel Larsen, who also went 8-1. Both of these Channel Fireball Ice players are losing a lot more compared to yesterday, but Kowalski's still just picking up one loss today.
Yeah, the Polish player, when you see those additional Zs in his name, basically it's still more or less pronounced Gregor.
I don't think it is. He's just telling us this.
He's happy enough.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm happy, because I'm not sure that I could necessarily fit all of the extra letters in there myself.
Coming from a country that's neighboring Poland, I think it's something like Grzegorz. But I'm fine with calling him Greg. And I think he's happy enough with that as well.
That's how he introduced himself to me, so I'm happy with that also.
Exactly.
And Armando Sapeiros on the other side of things, currently a game up.
Yeah, apparently from Brazil, maybe studying in Europe, maybe on a trip here. We've seen a couple of Brazilian players around, so.
And of course, when you get to the Pro Tour, the Brazilian fans, some of the loudest contingent of all of those cheering on. Of course, we do have a new Brazilian Pro Tour champion, Pro Tour Ether Revolt.
Yeah, Lucas Berthu doing well there.
Esper. I actually saw him when he was signing playmats in the Nico coverage booth. He'd just write WBU.
Okay, Esper. That's pretty cute. If you kind of bend it a little bit, even if just you pronounce his last name kind of like Buryu, BWU, like Esper. I have to get a little creative there, I know, but.
So Kowalski now drawing his opening hand. He's going to be on the draw for this next one. I already see a Sky Sovereign amongst others in there.
Yeah, Veteran Motors, Fatal Push, 2 lands to go along with that. I think it's also a Heart of Kirin. I think he should be fine. Kowalski with a Sky Sovereign in hand, what you just want to make sure to do is just make sure you get enough land drops. And he also has a Thraven Inspector, so that's a great start from Gregor.
And just the land, but none of the spells for Armando Sapeiros there. He's going to take one on this first hit from that Thraven Inspector.
Yeah, Kowalski drew a second Heart of Kirin. It's exactly the card you don't want to see. But he might find a way to use it, because it's usually a very good target for a Fatal Push, so I think Sapeiros might try to kill it off right here, because he hasn't played anything on turn 1 or 2.
Yeah, a little suspicious when you see no spells on the first couple of turns, because there are plenty of 1 and 2 drops in these Mardu vehicle lists.
Yeah, no third land for Kowalski just yet, so he's going to use the Veteran Motorist, and he's going to try to find some more.
The Motorist turning Heart of Kirin into a 5/5 if it chooses to crew it.
Kowalski, it's probably no lands.
Yeah, two on the bottom, not ideal. And he's got some big 5 drops in hand, so he definitely wants to be hitting those land drops.
There's a swing. I think the Heart of Kirin's going to get it. There's a Fatal Push. I don't think Kowalski's going to be that sad about it with another Heart of Kirin in his hand. He's just hoping to draw some more lands.
Well, lands are the one thing that Armando Sapeiros seems to be able to do very easily. He picked up another land there. We'll see which one he goes with. It's a Concealed Courtyard. From here on out, his land's more likely to come into play tapped. Ethersphere Harvester coming into play, along with 2 energy. Nothing to crew it just yet.
Okay, Ether Hub for Kowalski here. Happy to see that land, I believe.
This means that he'll be able to cast Heart of Kirin. I believe he's got a Fatal Push in hand, so that at some point he can have that ready to deal with a creature on the other side of the battlefield. Yeah,
I quite enjoy Fatal Push alongside Clues. Just because it's for 3 mana, you're basically killing something that costs 3 or 4.
And drawing a card.
Yeah.
We all love drawing cards around here.
I think you should probably maybe play that hidden stockpile deck then. It looked like something you would like.
I've seen a lot of decks that I like the look of. I think that the first one that I want to try out is probably the Paradox Engine deck. We saw it a little bit on day 1. I think that there were a good few players that made it through to day 2 with it, though I'm not sure quite how they're doing today. But yeah, a lot of fun to be had in this standard. in spite of what you see on screen right now, it's not all vehicles. These players, in essence, pretty much playing for top 8 here. Whoever wins ought to be able to get a draw in the last round, and we believe that that's about the record that you need to make top 8.
Yeah, it's going to be. I think it's going to be interesting to see how the pairings and standings shake up, because I don't think it should be automatic for all players who are at 2 losses. I think there's still going to be a bunch of them, because there are quite a few draws already in the tournament. Ooh, that's nice with the Ethersphere Harvester.
Depala Pilot Exemplar will mean that as and when Ethersphere Harvester getting crewed, it will get +1/+1. Also, there'll be the option for Sapires to, whenever he taps Depala, spend some mana to go looking for more dwarves and more vehicles.
Yeah, it's kind of fun that there's a veteran mode in Heart of Kirin, so that means that it can be a 5/5, and Armando Sapires immediately responds with a way to pump up his Ethersphere Harvester to 6 toughness. So look at that, Kowalski. He's going to be cheeky here. He's going to crew his Heart of Kirin, and he's going to try to get Armando Sapires to block the Heart of Kirin. But we know he has the combination of Clue and Fatal Push to kill it, if he so desires it. But if Armando Sapires doesn't go for it, he can always just kill the Depala. All right, but he probably wants to get rid of the Ethersphere Harvester. Yeah, uses the Depala.
Swing and a miss there. Thraben Inspector's a human and not a dwarf. Cracks a Clue.
Finds a Cultivator's Caravan at least.
Just as we drew it up, there's the Fatal Push dealing with Ethersphere Harvester, meaning that Heart of Kirin does get through. Armando Sapires taking these early hits.
All right, let's see. Just so many lands from Sapires.
And at least with Depala in play, he has the opportunity to put those lands to use.
Yeah, not ideal, but it's something at least. The other thing is that he probably doesn't want to do that much attacking. He could get punished really hard if he doesn't leave the Depala back. He also has Needle Spires a lot. Jeez. Right, so he's probably going to go deep here. He's looking for a vehicle or a dwarf.
Well, Veteran Motorist qualifies. You get all of the ones that you reveal, so...
All right. That was
not
neat.
worth nothing.
This double Veteran Motorist, but now he's tapped out. Yeah, he's reading the card just to make sure. He probably didn't get to use the Depala that much, I believe, from the way he looked at it. Yeah, these goes to your hand, not into play.
Oh, if they went into play, we would have a whole different standard format.
We would play Dwarf Tribal, that's for sure.
Just coming out of the woodwork, these dwarves. All the stonework, I guess, maybe.
Okay, 4th land for Kowalski. Also has the Cultivator's Caravan.
Yeah, could set up a nice turn where he plays Cultivator's Caravan into something else here.
He also has the Pia that he could play here, just to keep piling on the board.
If he does play Cultivator's Caravan this turn, that guarantees he's going to have the mana to cast Sky Sovereign next turn, which is certainly something to consider. Goes with Pia, though.
It's a fairly easy way to crew. Even though the Heart of Kirin is going to be just a 4/4, this means he can swing for 8 and put Armando down to 4, which is just a huge swing. As we said when Armando decided to use the Depala ability to dig for some dwarves and vehicles.
Now, there was the opportunity to 2-for-1 on the turn with the Fatal Push. I presume that Gregor Kowalski was just saying, again, more about getting through for damage than killing off Depala and letting you block, and then or letting you block, killing off Depala, and then killing off the Ethersphere Harvester. Because there would also have been life gain involved there, so it would have really changed the race.
But now I think Kowalski is just in a dominating board position. He can always draw a land to play Avacyn or the Sky Sovereign. He also has, even if he doesn't, that means he's drawing a spell, and he can develop a Cultivator's Caravan, maybe alongside something else. And Armando Sapires is just firmly on the back foot, digging with some Veteran Motorists.
Yeah, those Veteran Motorists were known about. They were drawn with Depala last turn. On 4 life, though, needs to find something good fast. It may well be that whatever's scried to the top or the bottom is not going to matter too much if there's not a way of dealing with at least this Heart of Kiran. But also you need to bear in mind that Pianalar can pump artifacts, so even the Thopter looking a little scary here.
Definitely. There's a lot of ground blockers, but there needs to be something about the fire. There's a tapped land for Kowalski. It's a Needle Spires. So no 5-drops just yet.
Alrighty, Gregor Kowalski just figuring out exactly how he wants to navigate this turn. I think it's tough for him not to have a good turn this turn. His opponent's on 4.
Sure.
It seems unlikely that life total is going to do anything other than go down. It's just a matter of how much.
Yeah, Kowalski's trying to optimize here. He figures like, okay, my opponent is dead if he doesn't have removal, so if he does have a fatal push, for example, what else do I need to do to maximize my damage? And I think he's probably going to go for something like either pump up the top twice to put Armando down to 1, or he can play Cultivator's Caravan to and pump up the Thopter once using Pia's ability. And of course, crew the Heart of Kiran with the Veteran Motorist. Okay, there's the Cultivator's Caravan.
Crew Heart of Kiran, it's a 5/5 on its own now. And it and the Thopter fly in.
Yeah, and I think Armando Cepeda was just hoping that Kowalski would not do anything about that. We're going to head to a game 3.
Lovely stuff. Gregor Kowalski squaring things up. Each of these players on 11 and 2. If one of them almost certainly will get to 12 and 2. And 12 and 2, 12-2 and 1, we think good enough to make it in. So possibly a draw in the last round. Alternatively, win the last round and you're definitely in the top 8 here in Utrecht in the Netherlands. Yeah,
and Kowalski certainly wouldn't mind the bonus pro points. He's on the hunt. He wants to keep his gold level status from last year, and it's not easy. You usually need a good Pro Tour result, but getting these GP top 8s really help you get along.
The players looking to their sideboards. Mardu Vehicles, one of the matchups that each of them knew that they were going to have to be prepared for, so I would not be surprised if these decisions were ones that had been made before they even arrived here in the Netherlands.
Very likely. We also got some information on why actually they were only in game 2. You would figure out the Mardu Vehicles mirror cannot take that long, but they were actually deck checked, so they got a lot of extra time from the judges to finish their match.
Which of course means that we have more time to see more magic.
Ideally, yes. Yeah. That's what we like.
Even if it ends up that this game goes long, time for them will be called substantially after time for the majority of the tournament. And actually looking across at the tables in our hall, not too many matches going on. Those matches near the top tables that are going on, though, have big crowds around them.
Yeah, of course. There's tables, I think 5 and 6, maybe 5 and 7, because we can't see through that for the big crowd. Oh, it's actually table 7 and beyond. A big crowd of there, because remember, usually at the GPs of, I would say, average size, we've seen those 2,000 player GPs. What happens if you get a record of 13 wins and 2 losses? That sometimes means that you won't even get to the top 8. Of course, it does guarantee you an invite to a Pro Tour, as whenever you finish 13-2 or better. But in this tournament, it's slightly smaller. It was only around 1,250 players. I don't have the exact number. So that means that here the record needed to top 8 is much less, because there's fewer players vying for those top slots, and there's more defeats being handed out in this regard. So that means that we think that the winner of this might be able to draw in, but it's also not guaranteed. It's entirely possible that two players at 12 wins and 2 losses will have to play out to decide who's going to make the top 8 in last round.
I must admit that generally speaking, when it comes to making those sorts of decisions, if I'm at least in the least bit uncertain, I'll just play.
Yeah, of course, but you can do the math, but a lot of times the math doesn't depend only on you just playing, or it doesn't show up clearly. Sometimes it's about, a different table decided to draw. That means that you have to play, or a different table is playing, so that means that you guys can draw. But there's all these kinds of decisions that come into it, and not everyone is comfortable with it. And if you're ever in doubt, you can just play. And I think that's a good mindset to have.
If you win, that's always the most possible points that you can get from any pairing that you end up with.
Of course, there are also the people who never draw. It's like, I came here to play.
And I think that's a perfectly reasonable sentiment. Armando Sapiro is just finishing up his shuffling here as we go to our third game, and we will see how the final act of this Madu Vehicles mirror plays out. This time round it will be Sapiras that's on the play.
Right.
A good amount of lands here for Kowalski. If anything, quite a few lands, but he does have both Chandra and an Archangel Avacyn in hand, so he'll have something to do with the mana once he gets up to a few more lands in play. Draws a Fatal Push off the top. That's a nice one.
Yeah, very important draw because his hand seemed very slow, so I was worried that he could be able to succumb to like early beats from Armando, who does have a scrappy Scrounger, it seems. And I wouldn't be surprised if Gregor actually decided to kill it right away. Just to make sure that he uses mana efficiently in case he draws something good. It looks like Armando has something to think about though. Passes. Doesn't play the Scrappy Scrounger.
I don't think that Kowalski's going to mind too much about that.
No, certainly not. Right, there's a Heart of Kiran from Kowalski. Armando Sapiras, what are you brewing up here? Maybe an Ether Sphere Harvester? Or okay, so now he's going to play a Scrappy Scrounger with Fatal Push backup. Or not. Change his mind halfway.
The pump fake there from Armando Sapiros. I don't think this is him particularly trying to garner any kind of reaction from his opponent. More simply, he's not quite sure what he wants to play this turn.
Yeah, and also I think he looks a little nervous here. And of course you should be. You're playing for potentially the right to draw into the top 8, so a lot on the line.
Ether Sphere Harvester for Armando Sapiros. Both of these players with vehicles, nothing yet to crew them. It's a car park here in our feature match area.
Car park indeed. I want to see what Armando Sapiras is up to. I assume he's just going to play a Scrounger, leave up Fatal Push mana. And I want to see Kowalski Fatal Push a creature away and then play Chandra onto an empty board. That would be great. For him, of course.
Planeswalkers onto empty boards are normally a powerful option. Shambling Vent coming down for Armando Sapiros here. Follows up with Scrap Heap Scrounger. No crew.
Wow. That's bold. Armando Sapiras playing around everything.
And it may well be it may well be correct.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
It's not the sort of play that you would see from everybody.
Yeah, he's probably scared of Unlicensed Disintegration. He just wants to keep the Ether Sphere Harvester around. But he might just get punished with the Chandra coming in here.
Inspiring Vantage, Spire of Industry there, the land for the turn. Doesn't need to take a point of pain here in order to play out. There she is, that's Chandra, Torch of Defiance.
So, plus her, reveal a card, that's probably going to deal damage to Armando's Dome. There we go.
Needle Spires, representing a shock to the head there. Passes things back to Sapiras now. Sapiras was a little afraid to crew before. Now I think he has to have a different set of considerations. Hearts of Kiran can still get crewed. Chandra can pay a loyalty in order to animate the vehicle. But there can be no removal spells from Kowalski if there are any attacks right here. Here's a mountain. We're up to 5 mana, and 5 mana after sideboarding for Madu vehicles is kind of interesting because sometimes you do see the big mana threats just such that they're Fatal Push proof.
All right, this is interesting. So Armando Sapiras animated a Shambling Vent to crew his Ether Sphere Harvester and to swing at Chandra. I think, yeah, Kowalski just not even exposing his Art of Kiran. He smells a Fatal Push in the air.
And you know what? He's bang on. There was a Fatal Push in hand. And this way round, yes, his Chandra is a little bit low on energy, but given that her plus ability is likely something he's looking to do anyway for a little while, that not necessarily the end of the world. Has a Scrap Heap Scrounger potentially this turn. but equally he could do something with Archangel Avacyn if he has an untapped land, which he does. Plays a plains there, and now he could potentially set up something kind of cool where he attacks in, having used Chandra to crew. If a fatal push comes, he'll be ready for it.
Exactly, and he can still use the Chandra ability if he wants to. He could actually plus the Chandra to get mana to play the Scrap Heap Scrounger rather than reveal the top card.
That's interesting. I kind of like that.
I think that's what he's going to do.
Now, does the Scrounger want to be crewing here? Does anything want to be crewing? Apparently not.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think what Kowalski's trying to now, what he's going to try to achieve, he's going to, I think, make the Heart of Kira into a creature so that he would be able to block the Harvester, and then he's going to try to go for the blowout with the Archangel Avacyn.
Now, if you're Armando Sapiras here, how suspicious are you of Chandra ticking up for mana and then your opponent not tapping any lands whatsoever?
Very much so. Yeah, Archangel Avacyn is starting to show up a lot in these Mardu decks after sideboard. Oh, look at that. So, all right, so this is going to be cute. All right, so crew my Heart of Kiran. How about that? Here comes the Fatal Push. And Armando Sapir is going to get blown out by Avacyn and a double block. Oh, no, it cannot be double block because of Thalia. Okay, at least that's something. But still, he's going to lose a card. Tapped Avacyn. It would be even better without the Thalia, because that way Kowalski would have had 2 flyers. Oh, looks like there's another Fatal Push maybe. Okay, there is another Fatal Push. So he really wants to get rid of the Heart of Kiran there. That's fine. Kowalski's just going to take the Chandra off the board with that Aether Sphere Harvester, but that was a decent enough turn for Armando Sapiras.
You had to use a lot of cards to get there, but you know, sometimes you got to use those cards in your hand anyway.
Gideon from Kowalski here.
The hits just keep on coming.
Yeah, indeed.
And is Sapiras now out of cards in hand?
It looks that way. I mean, both players don't have much going on, but Kowalski drew that Gideon.
Big swings here for Kowalski. There's no reason not to get in there with either of these creatures. One has vigilance, one can't block. Yep. Just the one card at the top of our screen there face down, trying to hide against the playmats that is Armando Sapiras' hand.
All right, swing for 7 here from Kowalski. Conceal Courtyard. Gideon. Make it tap 2/2 and pass the turn. So let's see if Sapiras draws or has something like Unlicensed Disintegration here. He should still be in decent shape. We don't see any of his cards. He's good at concealing them. I think he has a Heart of Kiran.
Sapiras' life total buffered by Aether Sphere Harvester, having successfully used its lifelink twice.
Yeah. The buffer won't mean much if you don't have cards to play. There is an Unlicensed Disintegration. Wow. Alright, so killed Avacyn. Put Gideon down to 1 counter. And he still has the Heart of Kiran in his hand. It's not great, but it's something.
Alright, empty-handed magic now for Sapiras. Yeah. And his board looking a little superior to what Gregor Kowalski has going on.
Yeah, remember Sapiras also has Shambling Wind too. That's going to help him crew up his big guys the following turn. And Kowalski needs to dig with his Veteran Motorist.
Veteran Motorist digging deep. Coming into play tapped because of that Thalia Heretic Cathar.
Yeah. There's also a Scrounger still in the graveyard. Nothing to eat just yet, just a bunch of removal spells. But Kowalski knows that if he ever destroys that Thalia, Scrounger is going to definitely come back. And this game has been super swingy and interesting on both sides.
It really has. I think that, one of the interesting sets of decisions was the sandbagging early on from Armando Sapiras, just choosing to not play creatures when he could, not attack when he could, just because he knew that he wanted to reach a point where he could really leverage Fatal Push to its maximum.
Big swing for 5. Empty-handed magic for both players, so we're going to get into a nice, good old-fashioned top-decking war. I love it.
And at this point, it's about who draws the fewest lands.
Yeah, pretty much. Or the most relevant spells. Can you imagine Kowalski drawing something like a Sky Sovereign?
Sky Sovereign would be great. Any of the Planeswalkers are just very high impact.
Yeah.
Though with so many flyers for Armando Sapiras, even a Planeswalker can't feel completely safe.
Oh, look at that. Sapiras being the one on the defensive.
And he's the one on lower life, so that's not a huge surprise to me.
That's entirely fair, and Kowalski cannot really attack into this sort of board, especially with the Shambling Vent I mentioned earlier.
Yeah, it is Sapiras that has... It's somewhere between a numeric and a sort of overall volume of creatures advantage, and an overall size of creatures advantage, sorry. More lands for Sapiras. The mid-game kind of a little hiatus for action between these two Mardu Vehicles decks.
All right, Cultivator's Caravan. At least that's a big enough creature that can start swinging, thanks to the Veteran Motorist.
Yeah, as a 6/6, it will be able to cause all sorts of problems for Sapiras.
Yeah, we'll be able to at least kill something. Ooh.
Well, in a top deck war, Depala, Cruiser Vehicle, how much mana does Armando Sapiras want to spend now to look for more vehicles and more dwarves?
That was a really good draw. Depala is a card that has started to fall out of favor strongly in these Mardu decks. I've seen very few around. Players preferring Thalias and Pia Nulars.
The Ether Hub worth playing there simply for the energy that could then be used with Ethersphere Harvester.
Yeah.
And all of those land left untapped, presumably because of the Shambling Vents.
Exactly. He can start using Depala the following turn as well.
16 life apiece here. Gregor Kowalski needs to find a way of reinforcing the early strength that he was showing.
Yeah, that Avacyn will look to be a huge blowout, but Armando Sapiras, having double Fatal Push, managed to skate around it, especially with the Unlicensed Disintegration he played on the following turn. Yeah, I saw Mountain in Kowalski's hand. I think you called it right when it was which player is going to draw fewer lands. And it looks like it's Armando Sapiras for now. I think we're going to see some Cultivator's Caravan coming in.
Jumping in the caravan and getting on in there. All right. Caravan Crude, it's a 6/6 and it's getting stuck in here.
Okay.
Farley Cruise.
Okay, Shambling Vent animates. Oh, wait. No, I think there's just 2 lands for Kowalski. He's bluffing here. He's saying like, oh, wait. I might do something before. Or does he have a Fatal Push? Look at, he's Hollywooding so much here. Look at that. We know he doesn't have a Fatal Push, but he's trying to bluff it to dissuade Armando Sapiras from doing it. But he's not buying it. He's double blocking immediately and gaining 2 life while at it.
Yeah, I don't want to make you sad there, Gregor, but you know what? the Oscars are tonight. It's too late for you to get a nomination this year.
Yeah, nice try though. I would have snapped double block there after he pulled this off. It was just too obvious. No one's gonna fall for that. All right, now Armando Sapiras with that Depala, with that Thalia, still has the Ethersphere Harvester, and a good board position for himself, especially if he can draw a relevant card here.
Well, Depala helps with that.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, there are those that would argue that at this stage, further vehicles or further dwarves are not the most high impact of the cards that Armando could draw, but they're essentially free if you're not doing anything else with that mana on the table.
Yeah. It looks like readying white and red makes me think he might have a veteran motorist. He's probably trying to figure out like how much mana does he want to tap, with keeping in mind that he also has a shambling vent that he could use. He also from the Depala he could draw a veteran motorist that he might want to play.
Okay, activates the shambling vents.
Cool. I mean, it can attack pretty safely here. I'm just wondering if Armando Sapir is thinking like, okay, I can go on the offensive here, right? Use the harvester.
Screw up.
Okay.
Pay 4.
If you're going to do that, why don't you start with the Depala activation and then try to animate your shambling vent? It feels, yeah, I don't quite like it because you're giving away Needle's information.
It's a swing and a miss with Depala there for 4. So here come the attacks.
All right, but it's a very big attack here. So the harvester's a 4/6. Thalia has first strike that can't be blocked profitably either. Shambling Vent and Lifelink. I like that Armando Saprias start to be aggressive here because that's a swing for 9 here.
Yeah, not too many of these hits that Kowalski can take. He obviously can't block with that Scrap Heap Scrounger, so just the Knight ally that can potentially get stuck in along with what's going on the other side of the table.
Yeah. So Kowalski hasn't sold Armando Saprias on a failed push here.
Kowalski thinking about what he wants to do here pretty carefully.
Yeah, he has to. At this point, we both see that he doesn't have any profitable blocks, but he's trying to figure out if he needs to preserve his life total in a way, depending on what he can draw.
And unfortunately for him, in spite of anything else that's going on, simply the fact that Depala is offering an option for more cards on the right-hand side of our screen, he knows that games going on longer really doesn't favor him at this point.
Yeah, he's going to go down to 10 here from the Harvester and the Shambling Vent gaining. Armando's going to gain 2, go up to 20 himself. And now Kowalski needs something good here. Oh, and extra turns.
So this is turn 2 of 5. The big wooden die of doom just on the bottom of the screen there was kind of pushed off a little bit to the bottom previously.
Yeah, and the Kowalski drew a good one. He drew a PNLR, which basically creates 2 blockers.
But if he's looking at trying to win this game, he's only going to have 2 attacks to do so. I think that for Kowalski, it may very well be, can he find a way of not losing, get the draw this round, keep the dream alive of top 8? Yeah,
and then try to win next round and hope the X2-1 will make it in. This actually has implications for people who have won this round at 2 losses, that are at 12-2, are hoping to draw. Because if they see a lot of people at 11-2-1, they're not going to want to. Won't be able to draw if their tiebreakers are not that great. And we know Kowalski's are great. Attacking with the Scrappy Scrounger, I mean, that's free.
Get busy living or get busy dying. It can't block.
Exactly.
And here's Pianella. Comes into play tapped.
True.
That is not ideal for Kowalski. Same is true of the Thopter. Thalia Heretic Cathar doing work.
It's been super impactful, this game. It has. I would even go and say it has won Armando the game because it prevented Avacyn from blocking the turn she came into play, and just slowed down the Kowalski's development strongly. So as you see, we're in turn 3 of 5 extra turns, so Armando Saprias will get to attack twice. Is it good? The way, yeah, look at that. He, goes into his chair, like, okay, I got something here.
It's a veteran motorist.
All right.
That is a dwarf, so it's a 4-2.
He can start digging for something to win the game on
Well, he's
his next turn.
scrying knowing that Depala is still to be activated this turn.
True.
So that gives him a little bit more to think about in terms of what he wants to do with that scry, and indeed whether or not he wants to activate Depala.
True.
One card in hand left for Kowalski.
We both know it's a land.
From Armando Sapira's situation, though, he has to assume that it's not going to be a creature, because that's almost certainly something that would have been played. If it were a spell, we're basically talking about a removal spell, and I'd have to think that one of them would also have been played.
Yep.
So I don't think it's too much of a stretch for Armando Sapira to have sniffed out that there is simply a land left in the hand of his opponent.
Yeah, over the last 2 turns, this seems fairly obvious, and I don't think Armando Sapira has to spend time thinking, playing around the particular card in Kowalski's hand. He just has to figure out, all right, how to do what I want to do the most efficiently.
Yeah, there's this turn and then one more turn of attacking for Armando Sapira if he's looking to close out this game. Yeah, swing for the fences here would definitely be interesting. If he ends up throwing Depala into combat here, though, then I think that's a great choice to block with the veteran motorist.
Yeah, but there's still a lot of damage coming through. I think actually, isn't it lethal here? Yeah, I think so, because there's, the Depala and the veteran motorist would make the Harvester a 5-power creature. And then Kowalski has to block the Depala, and then the Thalia and the Shambling Wind are 5 more damage. That's, as some streamers like to do, 5 plus 3 plus 2 is 10. Yes, that works out. If Armando Sapira animates his Shambling Wind and attacks with it, he's got the win. But he didn't. Looks like he wants to... Okay, he probably knows that there's a veteran motorist on top. Puts that into his hand. There's going to be a trade here with the Depala. There's still 8 damage coming through. But I did think Armando Sapira missed lethal. I don't think it was Chad lethal.
So yeah, the Shambling Vent just sort of sat there looking a little foolish.
Yeah, because remember now Kowalski's down to... he should be down to 2 though. I think the Depala and the veteran motorist make the Harvester 5 power. Fair enough.
It may be that both players missed the Depala pump. Another Depala comes down though. Armando Sapira gets another shot at this.
Yeah, it might have. Also, remember the life totals might not have been 100% correct. We've encountered this in the past where there's some discrepancy in life totals, or our spotter sees a 2 where it's a 3, things like that. So might have missed it. Ourselves.
So Gregor Kowalski now still trying to figure out if there's a way that he can hold on. It's turn 4 of 5 here, so the end of the next turn, regardless of anything, it will be the end of the game. It's just a matter of whether or not... I think it's really only Armando that can end this game any way other than in a draw. Scrap Heat Scrounger again with the, I guess, whatever attack.
Yep, last turn. He didn't forget about the Scrounger. Finally found something to eat up, and I think this is going to be it for Kowalski. Armando Sapira can just throw his creature in the combat zone.
And it's the last turn, so he doesn't even need to think about whether or not to use Depala or not.
Unlikely to matter. There's veteran motorist. Yeah, I think Kowalski's just going through the motions.
Sat there, stock still, watching as Armando Sapira plays through this last turn of round 14. Pretty sure that this is going to be, if not the last, one of the last matches in the room. They had a deck checks, they had a bit of extra time, they've still gone to time. Yeah,
Kowalski is probably known to make sure that he does the right play, and with the Mardu deck, he wants to be doubly sure. There's an animation on the Ethersphere Harvester. Even the Shambling Van is finally going to rumble into the red zone, and there's a big swing with everything. Boom.
How do you like them, Gregor Kowalski? You can block 2 of them. If you've got a removal
Fog?
spell, you might be able to... well, a fog would certainly be fantastic. There is none of that. There is just a handshake. Congratulations to Armando Sapires, advancing to 12-2 and likely in great spots to be able to lock up a top 8 berth in this last round coming up. That is the end of our magic here from round 14 at Grand Prix Utrecht. But stay with us. We're going to have a quick commercial break, and I'm sure that we will have our final round before our top 8 very, very soon indeed.